phenomenal run. I tell you, and then of course Eric Amarola right there behind him, and the other. So you had 3 Fords, 1, 2, 3 on the podium. That's pretty impressive. They were pretty good. All 3 were good cars. I've been happy to see that one of those 3 win. Have been pretty neat. We all know that if you watch the race, had a caution with 2 laps to go, and at first nobody knew what happened. Officials like, well, we didn't throw the caution, or which I thought, oh, here we go, phantom debris, 2 laps to go, we blame them for that, but this is actually a human error. What happened there with that was that, like I said, there was 2 laps to go. Carl Edwards was in the lead, as just the way the race ended, but all of a sudden the track goes yellow. And even the announcers were like, well, what's going on here? Basically what happened was the caution light were actually turned on from the flag stand. I guess the person had leaned in the flag stand, leaned on the override switch and turned the caution lights on. Of course, when the yellow light comes on, everybody slows down, and of course it's on. It's caution time. So it was definitely a mistake, but I guess in a way that shortly after that, about a lap after that, here comes the rain. So I guess they were kind of saved by the rain, so to speak. So it probably would have finished under green. I don't think it changed the outcome of the race. I just don't think Stenhouse nor Eric Emerald would have caught Edwards. I think he would have won it anyway. But it'd have been interesting to see what would have happened. But I still think it would have been Carl Edwards taking that car to victory lane. But it was just an odd day yesterday for that race. I don't know if it was meant to be or what was going on, but the rain delaying the race for several hours, and you had these a lot of accidents, and you had the mishap with the yellow. So interesting nonetheless. But keep going down here on the box score. We've got Tony Stewart. Good to see him back up there in another top 5. His best finish of the year, and he's finishing 4th. So real happy for Tony. He said he felt good after the race, but I'm sure that that leg had to be pretty good and sore, because that is one track that you really use that right leg to maneuver that car around that track. So I'm sure he's probably pretty sore today, but great run. I was real glad to see that. Kudos to him and that team for hopefully that'll be a turnaround. They can get back on track. They've off to a extremely slow start for Stewart, so hopefully they can use this and go to Auto Club next week with their new attitude, and hopefully you have a good turnaround. Coming in at 5th, rounding out the top 5 there, we've got another Ford, Marcus Ambrose. Another guy who drove a good race, a good clean race, just kind of worked his way through there. Good to see that. Kudos to Marcus for having that good race. Coming in at P6, your pole setter, Denny Hamlin, in his FedEx Toyota. Good run to see him there. Jeff Gordon, 7th. Casey Kane, your last year's winner in spring race at Bristol, coming in 8th. Brian Vickers, another good run for starting at 38th and coming back to finish P9, getting a top 10 there. Good run by Brian, so kudos to him for that. And your rookie, Kyle Larson, had a great run. I thought maybe he's going to lead this race for a little bit. Wasn't meant to be, but what a great run by that kid. I'm telling you what, I'm so impressed with Kyle Larson. The kid he's just tough. I mean, he was in the nationwide race also at Bristol, so that's good to see him doing well. I think that this kid's the real deal. We talked about him before. We talked about him last year, how what a sensation this kid's going to be coming up, and I think he's proven it. He's having some solid runs. He's running up front. He's had this unfortunate bad start at Daytona, but he's turned that around and really looking good. So proud for the kid. I hope he does really well, and like to see more of him in the future. And the other rookie right behind him, Austin Dillon, another good run, starting at P26 to finish 11th. Almost got a top 10. Good to see that the two rookies up there finishing up there, one right at the top 10, the other one's just missing it in P11. So good run for Austin. And you got Greg Biffle finished in 12th. He struggled kind of early. Didn't get the car right, but kind of fell back a couple of laps, but come back to finish on the lead lap and come back P12. So, that's a darn good run right there. Matt Kenseth, the one we discussed earlier, had a strong car all night, ran very well. Then, unfortunately, like I said, we got involved in that incident with Brad. Jay McMurray, they were there when Harvick's engine blew. So it was no fault of his at all, but he got back into that car, was pretty well shot, but he come running strong, and actually ran hard and ran towards the front on that race and finished in P13. So, man, what a good comeback there. On that incident, Brad Keselowski, what I talked about earlier, with no hood on his car, but coming in to finish 14th. A good run for Brad, I guess, for that. I mean, he started P2, but for what could have been worse, he could have finished a lot worse than 14th with as damaged as that car was. Had it been any other track, he would not have finished 14th. I guess that's one advantage that you have at Bristol. Aerodynamics do not come into play as well as they do on some of the bigger tracks. So, if your fenders are dented in or gone or hanging off, whatever, it's not going to affect you near as bad as some of the other tracks. So that's, I guess that's one good thing there. We'll give him that credit. So, and we'll continue on here. Let's see here. I get my screen back up. I apologize for that. And Clint Boyer, P15. Ryan Newman, 16th. Your other rookie, Justin Allgaier, 17th. Danica Patrick, 18th, got into a little bit of trouble there early. Cole Witt didn't damage the car too bad, so she was able to stay in there. And then, in fact, an unfortunate mishap in the pits a little bit later on. That was kind of a bummer. She struck the rear of Clint Boyer's car while he was in his pit box right in front of her, caused some damage to the front, but she was able to continue on in the race, finishing only a lap down at 18th, so the top 20 finish for her. That's always good to see. Jimmy Johnson, kind of a rough night for him. He had a tire just go out. It strung out. If you didn't see it, the tire cord just frayed from the tire, leaving like a 50-foot long piece of tire where the cord just come unraveled. But he was able to get back in there. Never could recover completely. Finished 2 laps down there at 19th. Joey Logano, he had some issues too. Power steering went out. Not good. Really not good when your power steering goes out, especially at Bristol when you got to turn 500 laps. That's really bad. But he comes in, managed to get a top 20. So, hey, kudos to that. I'm sure he was probably tired after trying to fight that car with no power steering. And if you've never drove power steering, believe me, I remember driving a car that didn't have it. It's been years ago, and I wasn't racing. I was just driving. It was absolutely horrible, horrendous. I mean, you just realize how much you really got to crank that wheel and how much you depend on power steering. You don't even think about it. So imagine he had it pretty rough there. Paul Menard, P21. David Gillen was running pretty strong most of the night. And then Josh Wise, in that 98 car, that's a car you usually see as a start and park, but it actually ran pretty strong. I'm kind of impressed with what Josh did in that car. He held on there late to stay on that lead lap for a while, but just couldn't get it done. But, finishing 23rd with that car, I think he had a pretty decent night. I got to chalk one up for him and that Phil Parsons team there. So congrats to there. Junior Nation started off strong. Dale had a good car. He was running strong, but some mechanical issues there again, and that put him back to 24th. A.J. Allmendinger, 25th. Michael Annett, 26th. Casey Mears, 27th. 28th, Reed Sorensen. 29th was Kyle Busch. Again, just had some bad luck. He started P7. Spun the car there late in the race. Wasn't his night either. Now he did win Saturday, right there for the Nationwide Series, but didn't quite fare out so well yesterday, finishing 29th. Landon Castle took a real hard hit in practice at Bristol on Saturday, so I'm glad to see he was okay after that wreck, where the rear hub just absolutely broke. And the tire come off and bounced, and thank God for that catch fence. Stopped that from obviously going into the stands and possibly injuring somebody, and he was fine. So pretty scary crash there for Landon, but he was fine. Like I said, he was so fine. He was a couple hours. He was racing in the Nationwide race, so he was definitely okay. So kudos again to the safety of the catch fence and the safer barrier wall there. They definitely done their job yesterday or this weekend. David Reagan, 31st. Alex Bowman, 32. He was running pretty good. He had a better run than what his position is showing, but he lost a battery earlier in the race. Not sure how that came out. And it fell out. Of course, you got no battery, no power. But until then, he was actually running pretty good. And if you seen that, you saw that it looked like toilet paper. They were going on and on about it on Fox about it. Of course, they had a rain delay, so they had all kinds of time in the world to try to fill some airtime and talk about anything. But Alex Bowman explained it as actually the fiberglass packing that they use in these batteries. So it was interesting to see. And we have a caller on the line here.
Hey, what's going on? This is Paul.
Paul, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Just going over the Bristol race a little bit. Pretty wild race. Did you see any of that?
I watched most of it. Slept through most of the rain delay and got plenty of rest. I've seen two races. I've watched Daytona and Bristol, and both have been day-long events with the rain delays.
No, you're not a kid. I think you're like me. I think you enjoyed the racing at Bristol a lot more than what you did at Daytona.
Oh yeah, I love Bristol. Bristol and the two road races are my favorite tracks there.
Yeah.
So it really, to me, it shows the driver and the skill of the driver. Not anybody can do that.
Yeah, that's true. Now, do you think the rain delay, the cools, the temperatures played a bigger outcome in that racing we saw than what it would have been had we had started at our normal time at 1:15 and went in the afternoon?
It would have had to been. You noticed when it got dark and cooler, all the Fords seemed to run up front, and the results show exactly what I'm talking about. I think it would have been during the day, it would have been a different result completely.
Yeah, I agree, because some of the cars were better on a green track, over in the clear. They were running up good, and then the other cars that weren't doing so well, once the rubber didn't cool down, they started coming to them. And, yeah, because there's a lot of Fords up front there, so I'm sure the Ford people were happy. So
I'm sure they were very, very happy. And with Keselowski's win, Ford's had a good year so far, won the two races.
Yeah, when you look at Penske, look how strong he's running here right now. He's had 2 of the 3 or 4 races. He's had both his drivers, on the front row.
Yeah, so. I know it's pretty strong. Can't. I like Penske, so it doesn't make me mad at all.
No, I do like him too, and I like Brad real well. Yeah. So that's good to see.
Yeah.
So
speaking of Penske, I don't know how many of your viewers are old racing fans or IndyCar racing fans, but I really was sorry to see Gary Bettenhausen pass away last night. He was quite a gentleman and quite a racer.
Yeah, I read that this morning. That is sad. Now, did you know him? I
did. Very, very nice fellow. Didn't know him well, but he knew who I was when I spoke to him. I had the pleasure of talking to him a few times, and had a couple neat experiences happen with him. So it's pretty. I didn't see him go, but he'd been in pretty bad health for quite some time, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if he had some health issues. I didn't read too much into the article, so I was just kind of wondering how that came about.
He smoked most of his life, so he ended up emphysema is finally what took him from us. So,
wow.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It sure is. Now, that's one name that, when I was a kid, younger, I remember that name, Benthausen. It was a very popular name, growing up in the Indy 500. And he's kind of one of those guys that took, I don't know if you want to say it, subpar to average equipment and done well with it,
Yes, he sure did. He had top flight equipment, and his love of midget and sprint car racing kind of hurt him with the Penske deal. He was in his contract. Roger always wanted him to not race midgets or sprints, and in his contract it said if he ever got hurt in a sprint car or midget car, that voided his deal with him. And unfortunately, that happened, and he lost his ride with Roger, and it was a shame because he did the best with the subpar equipment as much as anybody.
Right. Yeah, definitely. What's the old saying I say, that a good driver can make bad equipment look good, but a bad driver won't make good equipment look good.
No, it sure weren't. So, and you know what a fan of Roger and Mark Donohue I were. I've got a funny story to tell you. I took Mark Donohue, one of his sons, to the track, and I can't even remember when it was. It was probably the late 80s, and we were walking around the garage area, introduced him to a few people, and introduced him to somebody at Menards that I knew. We talked for a few minutes, and we walked away to go do something else. And we got about 10 feet from the door, and I heard somebody yelling my name, and I turned around. It was Gary. He realized it was Mark Donohue's son, and he just came up and shook Michael's hand, and he said, "Your father's the finest race driver I ever raced against." And I just thought that was neat that he took the time and the effort to even come and come tell us that when he found out it was Mark's son. I just thought it was a cool story.
That is pretty neat there. That's pretty wild. Now, you got some news regarding, we talked about it before on our show, we've had her on our show, Angela Salvage. Any more you can report that you are able to report on that?
Well, I talked to the Speedway today, and they're getting everything ready to get her here. I don't have any particulars yet, but they are expecting her here. Basically, there's some things I'd like to say, but I'm just probably going to be 2 weeks away. We're going to have a reception for Angela on the Friday before the 500. I don't have any details with that yet, but she will have her own website that we can people can order tickets from.
Okay.
Got a lot of interviews planned for her. We do have a camera and a director to follow her around the track and get some footage for her to do a possible documentary. We don't really have the funds to do a complete documentary, but we want to get the film coverage before actually being there, because once that's gone, it's lost, and we'd never have it again.
Right.
So we want the reaction of her to, all the things that she's going to be doing. I think she's going to be like a child seeing candy for the first time or something. I just think she's going to love the place.
Oh, I think she will too. I mean, she's so excited about it now. I mean, just listen to her, and and her what she feels, it's going to be amazing when she sees that. It's going to be cool. It is going to be cool.
Well, I think so. My partner in this Iowa committee, Jim Bork, Ted Warner, and I are doing all the planning for this. And Ted went and saw her in Vegas. He was in Las Vegas for a Mini Cooper thing in Vegas, and they visited for a couple hours last Tuesday. And he just said her excitement and her enthusiasm is just unbelievable, undescribable. So she's just so excited about everything. So, but we've got so much stuff planned for her, and I just wish I could tell you more. I know we're going to have a video and pictures with some good music going on. I know Pam and Indy on Facebook. She has taken the time and gone to the Speedway photo office and picked a lot of pictures out from the Speedway, and we've taken a lot of other pictures, and we're going to put them all together and have a picture/video presentation when we have our reception. So that's been a lot of hard work doing that, but so many people have come up and volunteered their time and their money, and it's just overwhelming to me that everybody wants to be a big help on this, and they have been.
That's cool. Now, do you know when she's going to be arriving? Is she like coming in on carb day, before carb day, or?
Well, we hope, and it's all up to the Speedway, and we're hoping she'll be here on Thursday. before the race, so she'll be there for Carb Day and get to talk to some people and meet some people. I know on Saturday, this is not set in stone right now, but we're going to hopefully have her at Legends Day behind the pagoda. We're going to get a couple of Sweet Savage cars back there. She's going to be there so she can sign autographs and meet people and talk to people and hear everybody's memory of her.
Nice,
her dad's.
Nice.
So we'll have a lot of fun. We got her busy all weekend long.
Now we got my camaraderie on with us now, Paul. I think you know Joel real well as well.
Who is that ugly?
Club, isn't he the Danica fan club president?
Who is that ugly sucker that's on the other end?
How you doing, Joel?
I'm okay. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey,
we're doing all right. That's good. So,
John or Paul, while I got you on here too, kind of not so related to that, but what's your thoughts on the new qualifying format at Indy 500? What do you think?
I'm an old purist. I'm 60 years old. I like the old way, but I'm going to give it a chance. As I get older, I know people like doing different things, and with the with the way things are today, with the social media and people doing different things, and there's so many other things for other people to do in this world, I think it's time to try something new, and I hope it works for them, because we need the Indy 500 needs more fans.
Right.
And,
I'm thinking it's maybe done almost maybe out of necessity now, Paul, because I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think we're going to get back to the 40 to 45 car bump days or more like we used to have again. So maybe they're trying to bring back a little bit of that, I don't know.
Exactly. And I agree with that. I remember one year when there was over 100 cars entered in the 500.
Yeah, now you just want to get enough to fill the field, and maybe it's like, maybe it's out of a necessity that we got to try to make it a little bit exciting. Now, if I remember right, it's like Friday, the 35 feet or the 3 to 3 is set, and then Saturday the times are wiped out, and you go the top 9. Then from Saturday we'll go to Sunday for the pole. Is that how they're trying to do it? Did I got that right?
Something like that, yeah. I think they do all their qualifying on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong on that. And then all the times are wiped out. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't read much into it.
Yeah, but, it gets confusing.
It'll be very interesting. I think Doug Bowles has done a wonderful job with the track to make something happen, and I think the road race on May 10th is going to be a wonderful thing too. Being the road race fan, that'll be a lot of fun. So,
and that tour we're going on this weekend, Paul, I believe, or that we get to see that road course. If I'm not mistaken, don't we?
We're going to see it this Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, so, that'll be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
I got my registration. I'm good to go. So
good. How about you, Joel? You got your registration?
Yes, sir. I sure do, man. And I am ready for it. As long as it doesn't snow, it's all good.
That snow's a bad word. Don't say that on the radio, man.
Yeah, that's you can't cuss on the radio. We have no beat button, Joel.
Don't you have some kind of FSA? What are the rules? The FCA rules about 4-letter words on the air?
Yeah, there you go.
No. We don't go by the rules. It's kind of like badges.
Oh, okay. Rules. You know what rules are, don't you? They're meant to be broken. That's what the unfair advantage is all about.
Now, Paul, I got you. I'm going to drill you because I know you're a big Indy fan like us here. We're Indy fans at heart. The rumors, and I know this has been confirmed by both drivers, they have actually made serious conversations with teams. And that's Paul Tracy and Robbie Gordon throwing their names in. What do you think about that?
I hadn't heard the Robbie Gordon one. I think more the merrier.
I'm not a big Robbie Gordon fan to say because, number one, he didn't give Danica her number. But anyway, I think it'd be a great thing, actually, for the sport to get these names in there that people know. They have a lot of fans. Paul Tracy has a big following. Robbie Gordon has a big following. He's got that Stadium Truck Series. I know he's going to be in that around Indy that month for some kind of deal. I don't know if it's with that or something else to get something going. So it would be pretty neat.
Yeah, it sure will be. What would be cool is to have cars that are going to actually have to bump. Have the bump day and everything. So that'll be interesting. But Paul Tracy, I think, still has it. you know, they got Buddy Lazier came last year, and I have heard that they're going to bring him again back this year with his family team. I'd love to see somebody like, I'm trying to think of his name, and I can see his face, and I know him. Gee, that's terrible on the radio, isn't it?
Well,
we lose track.
See, Paul, that happens as you get older.
I know. Buddy Rice is who I'm thinking about. Buddy would be a great person to come in.
Oh, I agree.
Unfortunately, like everything else, everybody's got to bring money into the table to get it done.
Right.
Connor Daly would love to be at the 500 again, but he's got to find somebody that has the money to put him in.
Right. You can't just show up and drive because the car's there. You got to bring the money with you. Yeah.
And you've also got Jacques Villeneuve coming back this year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's
I just
great.
hope we don't wreck anybody else.
No. Hey, wait a minute. So, but no, it should be an exciting year. It really, really should.
I think it's going to be, Kurt Busch is in. That's going to help, I think, because I'm curious to see how he's going to do. I think Kurt's going to do pretty well. H. Allmendinger did well last year, at the 500, so I don't see why Kurt won't do the same. It's a real shame that Dan Weldon still ain't with us, and we don't have Franchitti racing, because that would be big right there, too. Those are two big names we're going to miss.
Hey, Paul.
Dinger could have won that race. Go ahead.
Got a question for you. With the SVRA, Sports Vintage Racing Association racing coming up in June, do you know of anybody that's going to be bringing any Mark Donohue cars to that?
I know of one person that I've spoken to. My friend Pat Hogan from Colorado is going to be bringing the Lola T70, one that Mark drove in the USSRC championship in '67, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he had a '69 Camaro that won the championship, but he sold that car for well over $1 million, believe it or not.
Wow!
So, can you imagine buying a Camaro for $1 million?
I think a 35,000 sticker is bad, let alone $1 million.
Well, I know. Is that crazy?
Paul, do you know if there are any Swede Savage cars out there that might be making a trip?
Hopefully, Swede's Kudu will be there. I have talked to the owner of that car, and he's going to hopefully bring it for the weekend of the 500 to show it. And it's only a week away after that, so hopefully that car will stay for the vintage race.
That would be awesome.
It would be. I just found out my phone is almost dead here, so I need to run, unfortunately. But it's been great talking to you.
You too. I appreciate it, Paul.
Yeah, I'll call you back when I have more information I can reveal with Sweden. That'll probably should be in a couple of weeks. And I promise I'll do that.
That sounds good. We appreciate it. We want to hear from you. So have a good night.
Hey,
thanks,
you
buddy.
too, and you have a good night too, Joel. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Thanks,
okay,
guys.
Buddy.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that vintage race. If you guys are listening out there, that thing is going to be incredible. I think you're going to be in for a real treat. No, I don't know. Joel, are they going to be televising any of that, or is it going to be?
You know what? I'm not aware that they're going to be. That's definitely something we will need to get on, and get a handle on that. But if and as well as I do, Chad, that there are a lot of quote unquote old, Paul's words, not mine, but old racing fans out there, especially around central Indiana. But I'm telling you what, from my understanding, people will come all over for this, for this vintage racing. And if you ever have an opportunity, go on the SVRA website or YouTube and just type in SVRA, Sam, Victor, Ray, Art, SVRA. And I'll tell you, once you watch a few of these little videos of some of the old Formula One cars, some of the old Indy cars, the sports cars, the Trans Am cars, I mean, man, I don't know how you could not get excited watching that. It's just awesome, and I really believe that it's going to stand, the city of Indianapolis on its ear. They're talking over 600 cars, man. I mean, that's you're not talking about a 33 car field here,
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's turnout. The number of cars to me is already mind-boggling. That's a lot of cars. I mean, if there'd been 100 cars show up, I think, wow, that's a lot. But 600 cars, like you're saying, that's just incredible.
Well, and Chad, also, I mean, besides watching them race on the track, I remember last year when we were down there and at the Brickyard, and all those great sports cars that sat there on the infield, parked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's great photo opportunities. And some of these cars you've only heard about, whether it's been the Novis or whatever else, but those are. This might be a once in a lifetime opportunity for a lot of folks around this part of the country to see these cars in action.
Right, all those different ones, all in one place. You're right. I want to see this Novi. I think that's the one. Is that the one that you said has that real whistling noise, or is that different?
That's a screamer. That's a screamer. The turbine was the one that was so quiet. I mean, if you didn't see the turbine coming, and they might even have one of those down there, the 68 or the 72. I don't know, but the thing of it is when you see these cars all together in one. Well, you remember last year down at IMS in May, when we were down there. Remember when we saw the old cars, some of the old Target cars, and then some of the old Roadsters sitting there. I mean, but when you get that many cars, I mean, it's just going to blow. It's going to be sensory overload. Basically, is what it's going to amount to.
Right. I mean, where do you start?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and once you start, you can't finish until you get all the way to the end. So, bring your digital camera, because you're going to be loading that sucker up.
Make sure it's charged and you've got a lot of space available. That's right.
That's not funny. That's not even funny.
I know it is, but it ain't funny, but that is a serious thing, because little things like that. I mean, I've done it before where I've gotten in or forgot my memory card, and I have just a little bit of internal memory on my camera. Okay, 4 pictures, I'm done, because I got no card,
Or one is even worse.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that thing I think is going to be neat. I'm looking forward to that. I haven't heard anything like, as far as any kind of broadcast, but that's going to be I think Indy's going to be, I think some people are going to be pleasantly surprised, at least I'm hoping, that the turnout that they're going to see, because I think you're going to get a lot of the, the pre-split, kart day people and stuff that might come back to see this. I think you're going to see a lot of those fans, come back and see it, and hopefully they'll could bring some of, the people they know that haven't seen that, the new cars, and just, create a whole new mass following, so to speak.
Well, and Chad, we as we've discussed many times in private and also on the air, that if we want to get fans back in the stands, we really both feel like we need to get away from the cookie cutter mentality. It's taken over NASCAR, obviously, and it's taken over Indycar. And I had lunch today with a local prominent businessman, and he's a fan of pit lane, and he's known both of us for a few years, but he's an avid racing fan. I mean, he's a racing junkie like us, but he made a comment today that you and I have both said many, many, many times, and that is, and I can even quote him on this, because it's exactly the same thing that we've said. If they would run what they brung, he said, if they let people come in with whatever, and let them run those vehicles without, having to meet all these cookie cutter standards, you would draw people back in. And I think at this point, in order to really bring back fairly large, I'm not going to say huge, I don't ever see the huge crowds coming back, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I am, but I think it would almost have to be a perfect storm of having different engine configurations, body configurations, all different kinds of packages. If somebody wants to run 4-wheel drive or 6-wheel, 6 wheels, whatever, and I still will say that if I'm in charge of IMS, I'm going to say everybody has to have, let's say, 700 horsepower, and they're all dynoed on the Wednesday before they go out to qualify on the weekend. I don't care what kind of package you've got. I don't care what kind of aerodynamics or whatever else, but everybody's going to have 650 horsepower, not one more, not one less. Mm-hmm. Something, and between that and having some of these drivers from the past coming back in, I really think that could work. Whether they're going to do it, probably not, but Hopefully, you know what would be fun to do would be just throw it out there to the fans. Almost throw it out there as a referendum, and let the fans dictate what happens. And try to get the fans more involved. That's what they were doing last year. Remember, we had the Indy 500 or Bust campaign, which I think was really pretty cool.
Oh, it was fun. It was see people creative ideas that they'd come up with. Yeah, we were part of it.
Well, and this year, the whole thrust is everybody's got a story, and that's true too. Everybody's gone down there for more than 1 or 2 years. Everybody's got a favorite memory.
As much as you love the racing and being around it, it's exactly what you said there. It's the experiences you get there, the memories you get there, that are the best.
Yep.
The racing's fun. We love it and everything else. But it's so fun to go back and say, do you remember that time?
Yep.
That is something that you can treasure and you can treasure forever. And like you said, we talk about that this cookie cutters, what we want to call the spec series. The prime example was the IROC series.
Oh yeah.
Other than color of the vehicle, completely identical. It lasted a few years and was gone because
I was going to say, how did that work out? Not real well,
And I think we need to, kind of move away a little bit. We know NASCAR is making all these changes, but the big change we made before, I talked about, no fan wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fan that requested that new qualifying format. There's no fans that definitely wouldn't have requested that chase format. Most fans don't even want the chase.
Yeah.
They'd soon not see a chase.
Yeah.
And then that thing, I'm not even going to get into that. I don't understand that. So I guess now if you have, let's say you had 26 different winners in a year, you're going to have 26 people in the chase. I don't understand it. I thought it was only 16 in top points to begin with. I don't know. I'm all confused. But I think you're right. I think a lot of the big race fans are, they're liking it. And my message for them is, I'm kidding. You hear the same stuff over and over by so many different people that say the same thing. It's like, why aren't these officials eyes opening? Why aren't they doing something about it? Because these guys everybody's saying the same thing, but they're not addressing that. They're addressing something completely that has nothing to do with what the fans are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand. But, I think, and Rob Miller said in one of his articles, and I have to agree with this, I think with Verizon coming in, the things we're doing, Indy, I think, is starting to move into a positive direction. It has to right now. It's a point of if it's at the point now.
So the tipping point, yeah.
Yeah, it can't go backwards. If it goes backwards, it's going to fall. And I think this is going to be a big year for it. And I think they need with Verizon coming on board. I think that can only help the series because we know they've got the media, they got the clout, they got the money, and the exposure to get that out there and to get interaction going. And I'm really anxious to see what this year does. So.
You're not anxious, are you? You're not ready for the racing season to start, are you?
No. Wait, but think of this. Let's see. What is it? Not quite 2 weeks, and we're going to have a race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll have our first race in at St. Pete. I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see the Indycars back on the track. My only complaint is I just wish the season wasn't so darn short.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, why not put that out there, to the fans who are supporting the sport, let us vote on it. What do we want to do?
Right.
Put it out there for everybody. And to me, they only stand to gain. I don't think they're going to lose anything. At all. They've just got to make folks happy. And I really think that. This month, coming up before long, 2 months, I really think that's going to be a huge barometer for IMS, for IndyCar, for the entire season. We talked about the weather cooperating, obviously,
right?
And we've talked about, is the GP going to take away from the 500? Is the SVRA series going to take away from the 500? And the 500 is the baby, of course, But
Right.
you know, I really appreciate what Paul had to say. You know, they're going to have to do something different, and whether it's qualifying, got to do something to bring up a little bit of the fan base interest. So I really think that they are trying. I think Doug Bowles has got his pulse on not just changing to change. We'll see how things work out. Maybe it
Right.
maybe it won't go super well, but I really think it's going to do well. So
I think, like I said, I think the way they're changing the format, they're changing the qualifying, but I think they're doing it because, like I kind of said before, it's almost a necessity now because, they realize that we're just getting enough for the field. And I think if they make it more exciting once they get the field in there to bring a little more excitement to once that field's set, to add a little more excitement to it, because once 33 was said, that was it. So I think I hopefully it'll help, bring a little more excitement, but hopefully, after a couple of years, more cars come in, and they may be able to go back to a traditional bump to break that field. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. So,
when you mentioned Robbie Gordon, the last thing that I had heard, now I've been a little bit out of the loop, but I've been kind of trying to keep up a little bit here and there, but was that he was still kind of vacillating between IndyCar and going to the Super Truck Series.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he owns that Super Truck Series. He's now we mentioned a lot of names that are out there. Paul mentioned Buddy Rice. I forgot about that name. How great would it be to have another former Indy 500 winner there? You've got other names that could come out. What about Simona Di Silvestro? She's only a test driver this season. She's not racing the full season. So
right.
Is she going to step in her car? I wouldn't be surprised if her name comes out. You've got Alex Lloyd out there. Connor Daly, that Paul mentioned him. God, there's so many. Wade Cunningham. There's so many names out there that, are they going to? We recently picked up Alex Tagliani coming in with Joe
Sir Fisher Hartman. Yep.
I'm telling you what, that's a team to watch out for. I think they're going to be making strong runs for the pole.
Well, and you know what? I really like the People's Car. I love that idea.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. There's another one out there, I'll put that on our page about that car. That's a good idea. Why not do that? That is fans.
Well, and Jennifer Calandrillo, our buddy with Brian Keselowski, kind of started that in NASCAR, and that has got a ton of promotional opportunity. I'm going to put our family name on there. I'm going to put my wife's name, my name, and our two boys' names on that car. I'm excited about that. I think that'll be cool. I really hope. How many names do we have to have on that car? How much money were they trying to raise? Do you remember offhand?
No, on the top of my head, I don't remember how much that was, but I have to go back and look at that article. But that's really a neat idea, right there, like you said. That's how cool it'd be to, get some kids' names put on there and say, hey, kids, hey, my name's on that car, and they'll go there to, see that car, and you could bring out some race fans for life by doing stuff like that.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm looking at it. We've got the, at least the side pod, which is all that we had at the time, here on our page. I'm looking at it right now, white with red scallops. I'm kind of excited to see it. I mean, that's kind of a throwback paint job on that car.
Here, right.
Here's what it says. To see what that looks like.
Yeah, here's what it says. It says fans can sponsor the ride with a $100 contribution. Their Cutters RT is a partnership with Sarah Fisher Raceman. Again, that woman, just what she does for the racing community, a lot of it goes unnoticed, and really understand what a phenomenal spokesperson that Sarah is for IndyCar. It's incredible what she's done, and the goal is $1 million for a completely fan-sponsored car. So, that just, Sarah, she's just somebody that she has worked so hard for everything she has gotten. There's no, gimmies there for her. Kudos to, what she's done there. But, yeah, that is a neat concept right there. That is pretty cool. That is really neat. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff IndyCar. I think this year they're going to do pretty well too. I think we're going to see. I am concerned with those three big events being so close. That does kind of worry me a bit because it's like, is it all the eggs in one basket? You know,
Well,
should we spread this out a little bit? You know, should we move one to September, or should we? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
it'll take 10,000 names, or at least 10,000 at $100 a pop. And you know, I mean, I don't know what they've got now. I'm assuming that they've got several, but that's in a way it's kind of a long shot. But on the other hand, too, I mean, it could really catch fire. So you know, kudos to Sarah, you know, for at least giving that a shot. And you know, I mean, again, that could be a great way to get people into the stands, because you know, whenever you're talking, you know, I don't care where you are, whether you're in your local YMCA or your office or the kids at school say, hey, I've got my name on a race car. Right. No, right there it is. Hey, I've got a picture of it.
Right.
That's pretty awesome stuff. And you're right. That kid would be captured for life. I mean, he would be a fan for life.
Yep. See their name on there and just being around it and seeing everything else around and everything like that. So there's going to be some big names down there in the coming month of May. So I think it's going to be a good one. I really do. I don't see not being. The only thing, you know, again, is the weather. The way that's been a rough winter around here. By God, let's hope the weather is going to cooperate and be good. You know, come May. You know, you just don't know.
Hey, what's the latest, or have you heard anything? I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. I'm only asking because I haven't heard, and I don't know. What's the latest on any kind of a time frame? Do we know as far as getting the lights up and running down there?
You know, I have not heard anything. Remember, said they were trying to get that by definitely by the Brickyard. They were trying to have those lights done. They were hoping to get it done by the road course event coming up. But I don't know if this weather has kind of put that on the, you know, delay that a little bit, because if it's been so darn cold, you know, on the ground so frozen for so long, I don't know if that delayed it or not. But I know that they were going to try to get it for sure before the Brickyard, and hopefully they'd like to down the road course coming up. So I don't know. So that remains to be seen on that. But it's going to be weird seeing lights in there. I tell you what, that's going to be odd. It's kind of like seeing it for the first time at Wrigley, you know.
Yes. So. Yeah, I'm still trying to get over that, but hey, you know, got to move on. But that's go ahead.
I went quick again, but what do you got there? Closing statements, I should say, Joel.
Well, no real closing statement other than I still kind of like Joseph Newgarden's idea. Remember last year about this time we were talking to him. Well, it was a little bit later, it was in April, but we were talking to him, and I really liked his idea of having a street race in downtown Indianapolis. Thought that'd be,
yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Go around Monument Circle.
Well, Chad, I'm sorry I kind of joined late. As you know, it's been kind of a different time here recently, but
right.
glad you had our buddy Paul on. He's always a trip. He's always fun, and
I could talk him into it. I could always get him on the show. We love to hear from him, because you know he knows a lot of people in the racing world. He's been around it, and he's doing a lot with this Angela. You know, him and Ted Warner.
Angela Savage. Yes.
Yeah, and we want to keep on top of that, keep that in the limelight, and get that moving forward, because we really think that's going to be cool. So.
And hopefully next Monday, we can talk about this coming weekend down at IMS. So, yep. Chad, you know what? Spring is right around the corner. And
4 days?
4 days. I don't know. I've lost track. But
I have too.
In the meantime,
keep it on the track.